What is going on, everyone? We are Tankers Fantasy Football, hitting double digits here, week 10. We got waivers for you. We got some sit starts. Let's kick it off high and heavy with these waivers.
Get on the waivers. Go and lead it off with some Charles Clay. He wasn't at practice today, but he was doing some work on the side of practice. So if he somehow plays this week, or maybe if it's next week, I think it is time, if Charles Clay is on your waivers, to get your ass out there and get yourself some Charles Clay.
And looking at some Terrence Williams here, especially if Dez doesn't go for injury concerns here, Terrence Williams had a very nice game, over 100 yards, getting the catches for you. This could be a very nice play for you here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, maybe probably wide receiver 3, more of a flex with Terrence Williams. Is kind of like maybe kind of a chasing point situation from last Sunday. But if Dez is out, I don't see any way this guy doesn't get at least like 7 or 8 targets. And Dontrell Inman, I know this is kind of a bear homer play, but I mean, my goodness, Bears, I'm not saying start Dontrell Inman by any means, but if you're in deeper leagues and you want to get a guy on a stash who is clearly coming in as the Bears' #1 wide receiver, I mean, my goodness, who the fuck else is it, Bears? So I give this guy a look.
All right, and looking at Fitzpatrick.
Oh, that's a desperate play.
I mean, if you're struggling out there, got some bye weeks going on.
2 quarterback leagues.
Even though Mike Evans is suspended 1 game, you never know. I mean, at least he has a very nice matchup here. That's the one thing he's got going for him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, old Greg, if for some reason he is on the waiver still, cop on Greg Olsen coming off the IR.
Got a short bench league without an IR spot. Maybe this guy couldn't afford to hold on to Greg Olsen for 9 weeks out there. So if he still is on your waivers, I would give him a look. And before we bust in to some starts action, we got a little special treat for you. And I am going to go hit the mood lighting because we are about to consult the bones. Right here, people. Are you ready? From the land of the white gorillas, Tanker's resident shaman and keeper of the bones, I give to you Pepper's Jungle. Bones are coming, people. What do we got for you with the bones? In order to get these sexy boy deluxes for your week 10 lineup, we had to dig up this cocksucker and his bones to come and consult him with us, baby, to know what is happening. And we gotta dump them out there, baby. Dump them dirty old cocksucking bones.
What do we got?
There,
what do we
baby.
see here?
What do we got? I don't know. But first, before we start looking into it, I think we might need a little bit of Lowry's here to spice it up. I think we might need just a little bit of Lowry's to see what the fuck we're working with here. And I'm looking into these bones, people, and I think I'm seeing Josh McCown.
Oh.
Fucking Josh McCown, who has 2 or more touchdowns in his last 5 games. He's going against out there against those dog shit Buccaneers who are giving up the 3rd most yards and the 4th most points. 2 opposing quarterbacks, baby. And I'm all in on the Josh McCown and the bones. The bones. Let's get him a little more Lowry's. Let's get a little more deep out of the bones. And we got Orleans Darkwa from the bones. The bones. I know the Giants are a pile of piss. A big, dirty, old, nasty plate of piss. But I'm telling you, the Niners run D is an equivalent, if not a worse, plate of piss. So we're going Orleans Darkwa, not in the end zone once, but in the end zone twice. Ooh. From the bone.
That's crazy.
Oh, baby. Let's get into some more sit starts and get your dirty bones and get them out of here, baby. Get your dirty bones out of here, baby. Oh, they're filth nasty. I think one of them smells like butts. There's your butt bone there, baby. We might summon the Shango at a later point. Probably should have done that shit on Halloween, but we're fucking lazy, baby. So we got Pepper's Shango a week late for your ass.
All right, so other starts here at running back. I think fresh off his bye here, you got to go McKinnon, especially PPR. Going against Washington, giving up the 5th most touchdowns to running backs, as well as the 6th most points overall.
Yeah, I think McKinnon's an all-in this week. Getting to some sits for running backs. I know Chris Thompson, if you're in a full-point PPR, he is kind of a very hard guy to sit out there, but the Vikings are tough. I think this is a definite sit for Fat Rob, who just somehow managed to get like 10 yards and 2 touchdowns last Sunday against the Seahawks. I think this is an all-in sit for Fat Rob, who the Minnesota Vikings are giving up the 2nd least touchdowns and the fewest yards to running backs thus far.
And C.J. Anderson, a little banged up here, but I think you got to sit him again. I mean, the Pats
are giving it up, but they're just so shitty.
He has an enticing matchup, but C.J., I mean, it is just tough. With Booker, it looks like he's creeping on his heels. I mean, even Charles, he's doing nothing, but he's still getting touches. And I'm not feeling C.J. whatsoever. Touches going down, it seems like every week here.
DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. I know DeMarco Murray's knee's banged up, his hammy's banged up. We've been down this road before. There's this trickery bullshit. You're like, oh, Derrick Henry's got to get the bulk of the workload now, and he goes out there and lays you under 5 PPR points in 2 of those matchups when you think it's just going to get absolutely sexy. So I'm sick of it. I think it's more of a wait and see, especially against the Bengals D, who giving up the 5th fewest touchdowns.
I think you got to sit Abdullah as well, going against the Broncos, the 6th fewest fantasy points. And it really seems like Theo Riddick is the guy who really gets this offense going. It's especially in the passing game. Yeah. Abdullah just really
fumbled twice last night. I mean, he did get in the end zone, but fumbled twice, falling out of favor. I think, I don't know. Theo Riddick's kind of a bum too.
He had one big play though last night, but other than that,
very unsavory for the rest of the season. I think Martin. I mean, my goodness, even Peyton Barber's bitch ass is stealing some snaps away from Doug Martin, so I think he might be a sit out there this week.
Few snaps the year so far last week, and I don't think it gets any better with Winston out at quarterback. They might try and lean on him, but then again, they might just get swallowed up because they're going to have nothing. No Evans on the outside to open it up. Talk about one more sit at running back here. I think you got to sit AP Thursday night, Seattle. It was just a tough matchup here. I mean, he blew it up for you last week, but I just don't think he's going to get 2 weeks in a row here where he does it for you.
4 days later, they just played on Sunday. He's got to turn around and do it on Thursday after that huge workload and get 35 or so carries. I mean,
out of his mind.
I don't know if he can go out there and return value out there against especially a team like the Seahawks. We got some starts at wide receiver. We're going to lead them off with some Juju Smith-Schuster against the Colts. We're giving up the 3rd most yards to wide receivers.
Once again, coming off a very nice game here. I mean, who even knows that Martavis Bryant's even on the team anymore? I mean, this guy is absolutely blown by him. He's by far the 2nd best receiving option on this team. Talk about Robbie Anderson, a nice game. Now he gets a very nice matchup against Tampa Bay, giving up the most yards as well as the 3rd most points here.
I think we're looking at Robbie Anderson as a possible every week back in wide receiver 2 moving forward. He looked absolute
The volume is there, and with Curley getting suspended 4 games for PEDs, he's just going to see even more targets.
We mentioned in the Bone segment, McCown has 5 games in a row with 2 or more touchdowns. So, I mean, that's good news for
both might
Robbie
be Anderson this week.
That's good news for Robbie Anderson. We got some Rams wide receivers playing against Houston, giving them the 5th most yards and points. Wide receivers getting shredded by some bullshit. T.Y. Hilton diving around somehow. Nobody thinks they has to touch him or something. So Rams wide receivers all in, especially Goff looking mighty sexy out there coming out of the bye.
Great. I mean, Woods, he blowing it up. You got Watkins with a deep touchdown. T.Y. 2 touchdowns over 50 yards last week against this Houston secondary, who also got lit up and absolutely shredded by Seattle the week before.
Got some sits for wide receiver for you to start off. We got Keenan Allen against them Jags. I mean, my fucking goodness, Jags shutting down everything that alive out there. Fewest touchdowns, fewest points to wide receivers. Sit everybody against them Jags. They are fierce in the jungle, baby.
And I think even both Packers wide receivers at this point, I'm talking Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson.
The Bears
have actually played receivers pretty good. but also this quarterback situation just is not good whatsoever for Green Bay.
Bears coming off the bye, Packers on the short week, playing on the Monday night, all in. Them Bears, I mean, the Bears D, they can hang the hat on something, Bears. Our defense is stout. All right, we got some T.Y. Hilton. I know we're just repping him, but he is playing against the Steelers, giving them the second fewest points, and the Steelers are also coming off a bye. Will Fuller, that's a Thomas Savage situation. He was kind of a wait and see. He went out there and got you 5 PPR points last week, so I think it continues to be a wait and see. I know Hopkins was still able to get it done for you, but Will Fuller, I don't know. I think he's more reliant.
He's a boom or bust flex play at this point.
Yeah, he's no longer wide receiver 2 territory with Watts like he was with Watson. He is definitely a wide receiver 3 flex play and is a boomer bust version of that. All right, we got tight ends. Now, Tamron Brate went out there and shit the bed for you, getting 1 catch for 9 yards. But I'm talking about the Jets. I think about
everyone on that Bucks just absolutely pooed themselves last week.
I'm thinking it might be a time to saddle them back up against the Jets, giving them the 4th most touchdowns to tight ends. I got some reindeer games. And the Redskins just get absolutely shredded by tight ends in the yardage, giving up the most yards to tight ends and the 3rd most overall fantasy points to tight ends, all in on the Rudolph this week.
And a sit, I think, Safarian Jenkins, who, I mean, he's been touchdown dependent so far, but the Bucks giving up the 4th least amount of yards to tight ends, as well as the 5th fewest points overall.
Yeah, he's been letting you down the last couple of weeks. I think Harrison Safarian Jenkins is settling back into who we thought he was. And,
nothing.
Yeah, he's falling off the shelf out there. McCown's still clanging, banging. Safarian Jenkins is not. All right, we got some quarterbacks we talked about. McCown in the bones. And we got to go off with some Roethlisberger coming off the bye against the Colts, giving them the 2nd most yards and the 5th most points, all in on the Berg this week. I know it's on the road, but I'm just feeling them Bergs this week.
And I think Jared Goff's turning into pretty much an every week starter in my eyes. I mean, this offense absolutely looks explosive. He's throwing the deep ball well.
Well, their 1st or 2nd overall points in the league. I mean, my goodness, how are you going to not start the quarterback from the offense who's the 2nd most points in the league? Yeah, and he's playing against the defense, giving up the 3rd most points to quarterbacks this week. All in on the Goffster. We got some sits for quarterbacks. We got some Cousins playing against the Vikings, giving the 4th fewest touchdowns and the 5th fewest points. So all in on the sit for the cold Captain Kirk out there.
And we talked about Keenan Allen earlier. But with that, you got to sit up Phillip Rivers against this Jacksonville defense.
Fierce.
Bunch of grown men out there. Twice they've gotten 10 sacks. I think they'll be pushing it this week against the Chargers.
Grown-ass men all in on the Jags D. We got some Brissett. I know he went out there, if you got him on a bye week, like fucking Billy, and he went out there and threw 300 for 2 touchdowns for you. That shit ain't going to happen again. Against the Steelers, they're giving up the 2nd fewest touchdowns and the 3rd fewest points to quarterbacks.
As I'm dying over here.
Choking over there. What the hell's going on?
All right.
Inhaling some of that bone dust.
Too much for me.
Goddamn bone dust. I think it's in my eyes.
All right. Take us out of here.
Take us out of here. All right, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, listened, whatever the fuck happened on this show today, hit the subscribe button below, give us a like, hit the comment section if you have any questions regarding who do I start. We will get on them promptly and get back to you.
All right, thanks a lot for watching.
See you later. Signing out.